These my Dallas make it hurt.
Welcome back to a week 3 lineup edition of the Deep Cover Podcast. I'm your host, Kerry Stevenson. As I always say, shout out to my brothers, my co-hosts, Mike Crawford, Chris Aguilera. I'm right back with you, man. Week 3. Week 2 did not go very well at all. It was pretty tragic, in the words of Mr. Omar. Went with Tua at quarterback, and he went down with an injury in the first quarter. Ended up scoring like 0.52 points, which pretty much put the lineup in the coffin before 2 p.m. Our man James O'Shaughnessy left with an injury for good measure. You know, the football guys wanted to make sure we were all the way down, so they said, just in case he's not dead, let's go ahead and knock O'Shaughnessy out and make sure it's a wrap. So lineup scored 106 points. None of the other pieces outside of that Bills Dolphins stat really bombed. Um, all of them did. I mean, okay. I mean, most of them were in double digits, but nobody went off. It's difficult to measure what would have happened if Tua would have played the whole game. But you'd have to imagine it would have helped Parker and it would have helped Waddle, and him being out there scoring points would have pushed this Bills offense to have their foot kind of on the gas longer. I mean, the Dolphins didn't score at all in the game. So they didn't really need Diggs to do much. I think he was like 4 for 60 and a touchdown. But I mean, they didn't need him. Diggs outlook, a little bit um, to a more. Altogether, the team scored 106. But again, I mean, once Tua goes down, you just start looking at other things because no, that's not gonna that lineup's not gonna be able to do much for you. So um, never know what'll happen if Tua was out there healthy. We're just gonna have to let it ride. The football guys wasn't riding with us this week, so we're gonna move on to week 3. So the approach I've kind of gravitated to recently, well, starting this season when I tried to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, building lineups, is to try to find a high upside quarterback that's not really among those top few most popular guys. And that's kind of hard to do. I mean, it's pretty difficult to do some weeks. Last week was one of those weeks. I think that's kind of how I landed on Tua, was because of that. But I think I might have found a sweet spot this week with Josh Allen. He has a tough matchup with Washington from a talent perspective. But early in this season, this Washington football team defense isn't as imposing as we kind of expected. They're giving up the 7th most completions and the 10th most yards so far this season. I mean, it's only 2 games, but still, just the eyeball test is telling you that they're not kind of locked down to the measure that we kind of expect. So, hopefully the perception of their defense early on keeps Josh Allen under the radar, because with this talent and the rate that they throw, again, I've joked multiple times, on this show that they've made it a point that they don't ever want to run the football again. So when you got a guy that talented, that kind of arm, with weapons, um, with the legs that he has to make plays in the run game, you have a guy like that, you always got a chance for a blow up spot. So going with him, and hopefully we get one of those blow up games. So go ahead and plug him in here at the top screen here. Again, using this Awesemo lineup builder tool. Shout out to them. Yeah, so we can go ahead and plug Josh Allen in there. And then of course we want to stack. That's super important. Especially in these tournaments, you want to try to get as much upside as you can. So obviously, I mean, I'm not gonna break any um, codes here or anything like that. We know we just go ahead and plug it in. Steph Diggs, you know, they're gonna have a big blow up game. You know, he's gonna be likely the vehicle that's gonna lead them to that. You know, just a guy that week in and week out is gonna get big time volume. You know, as long as the game is competitive. You didn't see that last week because the game wasn't competitive, but as long as the team on the other side is putting up points as well, you should see probably double digit targets from Diggs. So I'm going to bank on that this week. You know, I'm going to speak it into existence that they're going to put up 30, you know, plus, and you know have a strong week. So you know, Diggs is going to be the guy uh, to kind of lead them to that. So plug in Diggs. On the other side, I really like Logan Thomas this week. Haven't really heard much people talking about him, so you know he might be a guy that you know maybe not will be as popular and allow us to do some things. But I really like Logan Thomas this week. Um, Taylor Heineke being thrust into that starting lineup really didn't change much for him. Last week still had 7 targets. Still is going to be out there most every snap. And this Bills defense allowed the second most targets in the NFL to tight ends last season. Just a um, kind of a funnel as far as that cover three, that zone that they like to run, funneling action to the tight end. They really haven't had a lot of tight end targets this season, but I mean they played Pittsburgh on week 1. Pittsburgh have 2 tight ends that they're not really throwing a lot to this season. And then last week, you know, with Miami falling behind and Miami playing so many different tight ends, but we saw Gesicki sneak in 6 targets. So, um, you know, that should bode well for us with Logan Thomas. I think he's a guy that, as long as, you know, we get what we need from Josh Allen and Steph Diggs, Logan Thomas should push for double digit targets. So, like Logan Thomas here. Not crazy about the price point. You know, you would rather kind of pay all the way up or pay down and punt. But again, I really like Logan Thomas's spot here. It makes sense as a run back. And since we're going to a guy like this in this price range, you know, I think it may be something that may allow us to get a little different. So going with Logan Thomas there. I think that's about all the action I'm gonna do from that game. I mean, there's some other options there. You could go Manny Sanders or Cole Beasley as a double stack. Not crazy about that from a upside perspective. On the other side, I mean, you could go McLaurin, but you know, I kind of just want to keep this one kind of that smaller stack. So I'm gonna kind of leave it here. And so now I'm gonna look to these running back spots. And first running back spot, maybe my favorite running back of the week, Austin Eckler. He's got a matchup with the Chiefs. This Chiefs run defense is as vulnerable as any in the league. Eckler has been getting work near the goal line this year. And if this game script but kind of comes uber negative, you know, if KC comes back with a vengeance after last week and you know lights them starts to light the Chargers up in the air. Eckler had 9 targets last week against Dallas. So either way you slice it, I think he's going to be involved. But I like his chances of being able to put something together on the ground. Like this is a high total game, and I expect points to flow in this game, and I think he should be right in the middle of the action. So we're gonna go ahead and go down to this game. Here we go here, and we're gonna plug Eckler in at that RB1 spot. So gonna go ahead and hit RB2 here. For the other this other RB spot, I'm gonna try to go to another high total game, but I'm gonna try to get different in the way that I attack it. This Tampa Bay LA Rams game is gonna be very popular, and it's going to be popular in the passing game. A lot of people are going to play Brady, Stafford, and those receivers. And so, you know, I want to get in on this game, but I want to go the other way. Leonard Fournette, he separated himself in that Bucks backfield. 15 touch opportunities last week. That kind of opportunity in one of the best offenses in the league for just 5K. I'm going to take my chances with that. I'm going to take my chances that this early season start of no rushing touchdowns at all for the Bucks won't continue. I'm not gonna sit here and think that if Fournette gets a carry, at the 12-yard line and breaks free, that he's going to slide down at the 2-yard line. So Brady can throw an end zone fade to Mike Evans or Rob Gronkowski. I would hope that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm gonna try to zig while everybody else is zagging, and try to get in on a game where I think there's going to be points scored. But I think this could be a game where instead of Gronkowski scoring 2 touchdowns, maybe Fournette can get in the end zone twice. And he's a guy that's going to get targeted in the pass game every game, at least 3-4 targets. Maybe he turns one of those. A green zone target into a touchdown, and maybe they get down there to the 5-6 yard line, and they call a run, and he's able to get his way into the end zone. So I'm gonna make that bet for 5K and plug in Fournette. So let's get down to this game. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna plug Fournette in at that RB2 spot. Now I still want to stay with this game, and I do still want to get exposure to this game in the air. And everybody, Cooper Cup is going on a rampage, so everybody's going to be in a Cooper Cup, and rightfully so. So I'm gonna try to go the other way, and I'm gonna try to go with Robert Woods. Woods played majority of the snaps last week and had 9 targets in his own right. So he's a guy that's very much involved. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not gonna be running the ball with a less than 100% Daryl Henderson going up against Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. No, no, just not gonna do that. So I expect the Rams to be throwing a lot in this game, and I want to get a piece of that. So I'm gonna get a piece of that with Robert Woods. And actually, speaking of that run defense and Sue and Vita Vea, um, I'm gonna get some more action in this Rams passing offense. So I'm gonna go with the cheap wide receiver play du jour of this week, at least in my eyes, and that's Van Jefferson. So I'm going to go ahead and plug him in as well at 3,400. I think he's a good value there. He's a guy that's playing near a full complement of snaps as well. Playing that exposition role for the Rams. And I think if this game goes in the way I expect, with um, lots of pass attempts and a fast pace, I think he's a guy that should see 6 targets, and those are targets I gladly take at that 3,400 price in this game environment with the opportunity to score points. This Bucks secondary, especially with the corners, they're missing their slot corner. They're susceptible. Surely based off of the amount of times that teams are gonna target them. They're not gonna run at this stout front, and it's difficult to hold up without giving up production in the passing game as those attempts start to pile up and pile up. So I'm gonna bet in this game that they're gonna throw more, and that's gonna give Van Jefferson the opportunity to cash in at that 3,400 price point. Um, so with the flex, I'm gonna go to a game that I think low key might be the most fruitful on this slate. A lot of people are gonna go to that Tampa Bay, LA game, rightfully so. A lot of people are gonna go to that Kansas City and Chargers game, rightfully so. But to me, this Vikings Seahawks game has shootout written all over it. These are two quarterbacks that I think are playing at a high level, playing efficiently. They have weapons on both sides that these opposing secondaries don't really have the talent to match up with. So I'm gonna go with Justin Jefferson here. He's had opportunities so far this season, and he's put together some solid games, but hasn't quite popped to the level that we saw last year with him. And so I'm gonna bank on this Seattle secondary not being able to keep that continuously under wraps. So gonna go with him here. At this price point, we could pivot and we could go to the other side and we could go with DK Metcalf. So that's an option. I'm gonna go with Jefferson in this one. But you could easily go with Metcalf, and you can probably run variations of this lineup where you do both things. I'll probably be doing that when I put lineups in on Sunday. So going Jefferson there. And then last spot is defense. So with the defense, I'm gonna go back to my frugal roots here, and I'm gonna go with the Bengals defense at 2100. Um, we said before the season, Big Ben may be done. He may be washed. Well, I think he's kind of confirming it now. Doesn't look very good. Doesn't look like he can push the ball down the field. Doesn't look fundamentally in sync as an offense at all in this passing game. Things just don't look comfortable. That doesn't really seem like a lot is clicking right now for them. Now his security blanket and Deontay Johnson, the guy that he doesn't need the arm strength to get the ball to, because this guy's just quick and able to uncover quickly. He's been ruled out. You got Najee Harris in that backfield that's getting all the work, but not really getting any room to spring free very much. And then you look at this Bengals defense; they're tied for fourth in the NFL with 6 sacks so far this season, and they've held up very well against the run with some of the additions they made to their D line. And it's a division matchup, and we know those division matchups, had a propensity to play a little closer than the average matchup. So really like the Bengals here at 2100. So I'm going to plug them in. They're a great pivot away from that Titans defense at 2400. That's going to be super, super popular. And, I'll probably play some of that Titans defense just depending on just how popular they are. Obviously, that matchup looks really good, especially if Wentz can't play. And so that's an option. Also wanted to give you guys a bonus, a little bonus action. So I'm gonna look out for y'all with a bonus, a 2v2, and this is gonna be something that's dependent on Dalvin Cook. He's popped up as questionable for this game, and that's a 4 o'clock game again. That Minnesota Seattle game. There's room here to make this pivot if we find out, and I mean it could be after 1 o'clock. The way this is structured, we found out, at those before those 4 o'clock games that Dalvin Cook can't play. You can make a pivot here to Alexander Madison. He's at 6,000. They priced him up, to protect themselves. If Dalvin Cook is out. So you can make a pivot here. You can take Fournette out and Jefferson out, and then you could go. If I can find the game. Okay, there we go. You could go Madison here at running back, and then you could go to that Tampa Bay game. It's also a 4 o'clock game, and you could go Mike Evans. You could go Chris Godwin. I like Mike Evans more. I think Chris Godwin is. I mean, he's a good player as well. Don't get me wrong. Um, he's arguably just as good as a player as Mike Evans. But Chris Godwin should see a lot of Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey has been playing more in the slot, more than he has in the past, playing a lot in the slot. And so I think Godwin is going to see a lot of Ramsey. And I typically don't make a big deal about those kind of individual cornerback matchups unless it's like the very cream of the crop. And obviously, I consider Ramsey the cream of the crop. We've seen on multiple occasions him hold a lot of really good receivers in check. So uh, he's not somebody that I'm just gonna um, you know turn a blind eye to, in a matchup. So, that's an option that you can do to, try to cash in on that if Madison is out. But I'm gonna roll with, um, how I set it out to do it. But that's a variation you can play as well. You can play both. If Dalvin Cook gets ruled out, you can play this lineup in. You can play that 2v2 change. So, giving you guys a little bonus action there. Um, just some variation, just different things to play with. So, I'm gonna close it out here, man. Want to thank you guys again for checking in. Really appreciate it. As always, like, rate, review the show, subscribe on YouTube. Um, really appreciate the support that you guys give this podcast as a whole, the whole crew. Shout out to everybody with Two Guys Watching Football, our network, Cole Jackson, of course, my guys, Mike and Chris, Denard Melton, Adam B. You see the great things they're doing with the post game show with the Ravens. We're gonna keep bringing good content to you guys, man. So just um, keep rocking with us, keep supporting. Again, the likes and the subscribes, we need those. We need that to keep this going. So, drop a like, subscribe, keep up with what we're doing. Also comment, man. Jump in these comments. Let me know what you like and dislike about the lineups. Let me know what's some of the lineups that you're gonna be putting in, and some of the changes that you would make. But again, just appreciate it. And I will catch you guys a week 4.